war never changes.
Hello everybody, my name is Sirenes, and today I'll be simulating AI wars inside of Roblox, along with progressively improving it throughout the video, and trying some unique things which all came with some unique results. So, without wasting any more time, let's get into how I created the first generation of AI wars. To start, I simply made it so that the AI is able to find the closest target to it, being the cube I added. This allows me to make it so that even if there's a bunch of these green cubes, it'll choose the closest one to it. Next, I needed them to be able to swing at the cube. To do this, I also needed to start coding the actual AI itself, so I began working on that, making it so that as long as there's cubes on the map, it'll find the closest one and swing at it. After that, I simply added a health amount onto the cubes and made it so that the AI can damage it, effectively destroying it when it reaches 0. Along with this, they now carry the cubes with them, although I never coded it to visually show. Once reaching this state, the AI needed to go through a fairly big evolution, being the ability to have two different roles, one being the warrior and one being the worker. In addition, they needed the ability to have teams in order to coexist, so they did just that. Now they're able to fight, but they also need to be able to create more warriors and workers. After voting, they decided to give the workers that role, using these mysterious cubes, which were now appearing at random, to create more soldiers. There was also these changes, which would make things slightly more interesting. With these discoveries, tensions arose. There could only be so many cubes to go around, and with there being multiple teams spread throughout, something was destined to happen. And so it did. The 4 tribes, pink, blue, red, and green, were the first to join this AI war. In the beginning, the conflicts were split, pink fighting against blue and red fighting against green. Over time, these battles would mix. While at first the teams held strong, red seemed to prevail above the rest, being the first to reach above 10 members. Whilst green was suffering heavy losses, barely able to keep their members above 5. Pink and blue were head to head with their member counts, almost tying at a point, but sadly, pink would fall behind, going from 22 down to 15, with no sign of slowing down. Red was still dominating with a massive lead of 50 members, having blue right behind them by around 20 members, still fighting to keep up. As much as green was commendable for even managing to keep up for this long, they just couldn't manage to ever get above 10 members again, their last 2 falling at the same time, probably caught in some massive battle, as they weren't even seen in their dying moments. Pink would fall soon after. Blue's numbers were staying around the same, falling and rising, but the sheer size of Red's kingdom couldn't be matched as it continued to skyrocket, while Blue's went from around 20 to 30 before dropping to just 1. And with the over 100 strong Red army barreling towards him, he stood no chance, marking the end of this battle. In the time between conflicts, the teams would recover in the shadows. The cubes evolved into spheres for unknown reasons, and totally not anything related to just making it look nicer. They learned that storing all their cubes in a centralized area would be better, instead of creating soldiers in the field and risking losing these resources. Doing it this way gave their men random properties, getting randomized speed, damage, and health amounts. With these spheres being so important to them, they formally named them pellets. Finally, soldiers would no longer blindly run towards conflicts, instead deciding to patrol nearby the workers and keep them safe, as when all the workers die, their teams are effectively defeated. Along with this, when workers are attacked, they'll let out a panic call, making any nearby warrior come to protect them. Now that the teams are more prepared, they would now fight once again to end the first AI war. This time, the teams were yellow, blue, red, and green, with pink sitting out this fight to continue their preparations. With their new strategies, they actually seem to move much more like a team. the workers going out to collect as the workers patrolled around, making sure their workers were protected. Each team was at around 25 members when the first major conflict broke out, with red aggressing towards yellow. As that fight carried out, tensions over a single worker being hit had broken, with yellow now also fighting against blue. Yellow's numbers were noticeably falling behind, but possibly in a stroke of luck, blue was now also being attacked by green, as one of their soldiers had strayed out and initiated a fight. For some strange reason, red would send nearly their entire army washing through green, before starting a sudden battle, blue still fighting against green and yellow at the same time. With red being at green's home turf, it doesn't look like the battle is going well for red. But just near them is an absolutely massive conflict between yellow, green, and blue, with yellow mostly backing out, leaving the two colors to duke it out. Among all of this conflict, green seems to be reigning supreme, with nearly 40 members towering over the other team's average of 30 to 20. The battle is still raging on, with all sides trying their hardest not to fall behind, but green has managed to break 50 members. Yellow's been fighting like a dog to not fall below 20 members, but it seems they couldn't hold on to that forever, dropping from 20 to 17, all the way down to 7. Climbing back up to 9, before plummeting back down, the last two workers rushing to collect more pellets while getting ruthlessly taken down one by one, marking the end of blue. In the time that it took for yellow to fully die out, there had been some interesting changes. Green went from about 50 before falling down to around 30, whilst blue took their spot. But, with green and blue having a major battle, red was given the chance to catch up, practically now tying blue in members. With both the teams' numbers being so huge, a lot of the remaining green workers took themselves out in a fiery blaze of glory, leaving just 2 members left. One still fighting to their last breath, and one trying in vain to build their kingdom up once more. Red and blue would continue the fight for minutes upon minutes, and just when it seemed like the battle would never end, red managed to reach 60 members, now being around 10 over blue. Blue barely was given the chance to keep up, and what was once a fierce, undecided battle was now a one-sided beatdown, the last few workers trying to fend them off whilst running, but to no avail. Red had once again stood victorious, proving that despite the changes you can prevail, officially laying their claim on this land. But for how long will this last? Alright, no more corny storytelling. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you did, please consider dropping a like and subscribe to the channel. It really helps and I would appreciate it a ton. This video has definitely been way different than what I would usually do, but I'm excited to see what your thoughts are. I was writing the script, not really thinking much of it, and it just kind of randomly turned into this story that I wouldn't have really gotten if I had scripted or planned it. This is really just a bunch of code I had added into the AI, and there was no personality or story coded into them. In fact, everything about what happened was nearly completely random and up to chance. I just randomly started playing my code changes and what happened in the simulations as story elements, instead of me just making it up. And yeah, just a super fun idea. If you guys would like for me to continue doing simulations like this and keep the war one going, let me know. And if you do want this to continue, consider dropping some ideas on what you'd want simulated, or maybe some ideas on features you think would make this even better. But alright, no more yapping from me. Peace out, and have a good one.